Good morning, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to my morning news report right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. President Trump says he and First Lady Melania Trump tested positive for COVID-19. President Donald Trump says he and First Lady Melania Trump have tested positive for the coronavirus. The president tweeted early Friday. Trump's positive test comes just hours after the White House announced that senior aide Hope Hicks came down with the virus after traveling with the president several times this week. Trump was the last seen by reporters returning to the White House on Thursday evening and looked to be in good health. Trump is 74 years old, putting him at a higher risk of serious complications from a virus that has now killed more than 200,000 people nationwide. The president tweeted, "Tonight, Flukas and I tested positive for COVID-19. We will begin our quarantine and recovery process immediately. We will get through this together." Vice President Mike Pence wishes the president and First Lady speedy recovery on Twitter following an announcement. Here is what he said. "Karen and I send our love and prayers to our dear friends, President Donald Trump and Melania Trump. We join millions across America praying for their full and swift recovery. God bless you, President Trump, and our wonderful First Lady, Melania." Trump announced late Thursday that he and the First Lady were beginning a quarantine process after Hicks came down with the virus. Though it wasn't clear what that entailed, it can take days for an infection to be detected by a test. First Lady Melania Trump also made an announcement on Twitter saying they felt good and would continue quarantining. As too many Americans have done this year, POTUS and I are quarantining at home after testing positive for COVID-19. We are feeling good, and I have postponed all upcoming engagements. Please be sure you are staying safe and will get through this together. The diagnosis marks a major blow for a president who has been trying desperately to convince the American public that the worst of the pandemic is behind them, even as cases continue to rise with nearly 4 weeks to go before Election Day. And it stands as most serious known public health scare encountered by any sitting American president in recent history. Symptoms of COVID-19 can include fever, cough, and breathing trouble. Most people develop only mild symptoms, but some people, usually those with other medical complications, develop more severe symptoms, including pneumonia, which can be fatal. In an interview with Fox News host Sean Hannity on Thursday, Trump said he was awaiting results of a COVID-19 test. "Whether we quarantine or whether we have it, I don't know," he said, adding that the First Lady was also awaiting results. Hicks traveled with the president multiple times this week, including aboard Marine One, the presidential helicopter, and Air Force One, to a rally in Minnesota on Wednesday, and aboard Air Force One to Tuesday's first presidential debate in Cleveland. Trump had consistently played down concerns about being personally vulnerable to contracting COVID-19, even after White House staffers and allies were exposed and sickened. "I felt no vulnerability whatsoever," he told reporters back in May. He has encouraged governors to reopen their states and tried to focus on nation's attention on efforts to revive the economy, not a growing death toll, as he seeks another 4-year term. Some studies suggest COVID-19 patients who are obese may be at higher risk of being seriously sickened by the virus, although it's unclear whether that's because they are more likely to have other health conditions, such as heart disease or diabetes. In 2019, Trump met with technical thresholds for obesity. The news was sure to rattle an already shaken nation, still grappling with how to safely reopen while avoiding further spikes. The White House has access to nearly unlimited resources, including a constant supply of quick result tests, and still failed to keep the president safe, raising questions about how the rest of the country will be able to protect its workers, students, and the public as business and schools reopen. Trump, the vice president, and other senior staff have been tested for COVID-19 daily since 2 people who work at the White House complex tested positive in early May, prompting the White House to set up precautions. Everyone who comes in contact with the president also receives a quick result test. Yet, since the early days of the pandemic, experts have questioned the health and safety protocols at the White House and asked why more wasn't being done to protect the commander-in-chief. Trump continued to shake hands with visitors long after public health officials are warning against it, and he initially resisted being tested. He has been reluctant to practice his own administration's social distancing guidelines for fear of looking weak, including refusing under almost all circumstances to wear a mask in public. Trump is not the only major world leader known to have contracted the virus. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson spent a week in the hospital, including 3 nights in intensive care, where he was given oxygen and watched around the clock by medical workers. German Chancellor self-isolated after a doctor who gave her a vaccine tested positive for the virus. And the Canadian Prime Minister worked from home after his wife fell ill. The White House got its first COVID-19 scare in early March, when at least 3 people later tested positive came in close proximity to the president at his private Florida club. That included members of the Brazilian President delegation, including the Brazilian charge d'affaires, who sat at Trump's dinner table. In mid-March, as the virus continued to spread across the country, the White House began taking the temperature of everyone entering the White House complex. And in April, it began administration rapid COVID-19 tests to all those in close proximity to the president, with staffers being tested about once a week. The frequent tests gave some staff the false impression the complex was safe from the virus, and few, as a result, followed recommended safety protocols, including wearing masks. But then the bubble broke. On May 7th, the White House announced that members of the military serving as one of the president's personal valets tested positive for the virus, followed a day later by a positive diagnosis for Vice President Mike Pence, press secretary. Even then, Trump said he was not worried about the virus spreading in the White House, but officials again stepped up safety protocols for the complex, directing everyone entering the West Wing to wear a mask. I think it's very well contained, actually, Trump told reporters on May 11th. But by June, concerns at the White House had dissipated once again, with few staffers bothering with masks, even as more and more people tested positive for the virus, including campaign staffers preparing for a Tulsa rally and Secret Service agents. On July 3rd, Kimberly Guilfoyle, who is dating Trump's eldest son, Donald Trump Jr., tested positive in South Dakota before an Independence Day fireworks show at Mount Rushmore. Guilfoyle, a former Fox News personality, works for Trump's campaign, had not flown on Air Force One and had not been in direct contact with the president, though she had contact with numerous top GOP officials. In July, Trump's national security advisor Robert O'Brien tested positive. While there is currently no evidence that Trump is seriously ill, the positive test also raises questions about what would happen if he were to become incapacitated due to the illness. The Constitution's 25th Amendment spells out the procedure under which a president can declare themselves unable to discharge the powers and duties of the presidency. If he were to make that call, Trump would transmit a written note to the Senate President pro tempore, Republican Senate Chuck Schumer of Ohio, and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat of California. Pence would serve as acting president until Trump transmitted a written declaration to the country. The vice president and a majority of either the cabinet or another body established by law can also declare the president unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, in which case Pence would immediately assume the powers and duties of the office as acting president until Trump could provide a written declaration to the country. And that is it for this news report right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you back here later on today for another news report. Goodbye, everyone.